Okay, so all set up for round 2, which is another OP5 practice game. Made a couple of tweaks to my list. Dropped the cloaked mines for Tetrion emissions. The mines I just don't see being able to deploy them as easily as I wanted to with the OWPs counting as ships. So dropped that, switched out for Tetrion emissions on the Mata. I'll link again the full list right after this. But one thing we found out is that the Admiral orders are not being allowed for OP5 at both of the venues that we play at. So went ahead and dropped that and changed up to a mixed fleet a little bit. Decided to trying to shoot, the ability to shoot down the OWPs with the Kraxen's dual fire ability. So figured we'd give that a shot. I'll link the full description of everything that's over in that fleet right after this as well. But here's our initial setup. We got the mixed Romulan and Cardassian fleet over here. There's all the OWPs, and then the Klingon strike force over there. So we'll pick it up right at the end of round 1. Okay, after round 1, the Klingons just moved up, cloaked, battle station on the Mata. The OWP fired its 4 shots at the Mata and was able to evade all of them. Over here, though, we definitely saw that the Koronak's ability to do the dual fire worked out perfectly. The Koronak there went ahead and did the split shot, had the battle station from Picard and the scan from the ship action. Just left the battle station there to make sure that after the first volley, only got a single hit thanks to Bohica, switching the blank to a hit, and then the next round shot the next firing sequence got 2 crits, so perfect. So that OWP blew up, and then the Kraxen took a shot at this OWP here and took off the mission token from it. So, but yeah, everything is progressing. We'll probably have a little bit of a confrontation over here very shortly. So, pick it up at round 2. Okay, so after round 2, Klingons pushed all the way forward for the Cardassian and Romulan fleet moved up. You can see that OWP is gone. That got blown up. And they were just outside. We were just outside of range of each other, so just barely outside of range 3. So, which means that next turn, the engagement will begin. What's interesting is that now with the OWP, since we can shoot the OWPs, they were cleared rather easily, which kind of opens up this whole quadrant of the board, basically. Basically from here to here, this whole area is just completely open now. That OWP back there fired at the Mata, but again, nothing happened. So we will pick it up at the end of round 3, and we'll see just how bloody this gets. And that was a very eventful round. Everything moved up. The Klingons luckily did not bump into the Romulan scout ship, which I think was the plan, based on how it kind of moved up there. But everything moved up. Barrage of fire went off. Instead of shooting at the Koronak, went ahead and instead shot at the instead of shooting at the Kraxen, went ahead and did shoot at the Koronak, which was right at range 2. That way I could gain the benefit from the flagship's additional dice. So again, 11 shots with barrage of fire, the reroll because I'm shooting from Cloak, plus the battle station from Picard, ended up getting all 11 hits, of which 3 were crits. Now, the main reason was to gain the additional shot from the flagship, but also the Kraxen had used its Tetrion emissions, so that gave it a +3 defense, and I really wanted all of those as much as possible to get through, and luckily they all did. Actually, 10 of the shots did. 1 was evaded, but yeah, the Coronac basically absorbed, went through all 3 of its shields, 3 on the hull, and then the remaining hit plus the 3 crits went to the shields of the Kraxen. So that avoided that. But the Coronac's not happy. He's only got 1 hull point left. But that was all I could muster. The return fire though was pretty eventful. The Coronac shot got a total of 6 shots. Did a total of 4 when everything was said and done, so I had to burn the interface generator in order to avoid getting destroyed on with the Shatang. So that's where we're at. We'll pick it up next round. And the circling begins. The Mata unfortunately bumped the Coronac, which was over there at the time, so it lost all of its actions, so it wasn't able to recloak. The Shatang, though, was able to go ahead and recloak. The Kraxen and the Coronac both took hard 2 lefts, and so did the Vo, and everything just kind of lined right up. They took their auxiliary tokens, and that's where we're at right now. There is a target lock from the Shatang to the Kraxen. That was from last turn, but that's where we're at. Alright, we'll pick it up next round. Well, the Cardassians broke to the right. Somehow the Coronac actually was able to survive this round. The Mata and the Shatang did a 3 come about. The Mata was just barely in range on the Coronac, took its shots, only got 2 hits since there wasn't any way to modify any dice since it took the auxiliary token this turn. 1 was evaded, and then the Kraxen just ate the other one on its own shield. Then the OWP, of course, was closest to the Coronac. That's right there. Took its shot, 2 hits, evaded 1, and the evade token ate the other. So actually, that went really, really well for the Cardassian and Romulans. So next, we're gonna see if these Cardassian boats can turn around enough to actually either get in a shot or see if they can get out of range of the Klingons here. So we'll be back at the end of the next round. Well, after some fancy flying and fancy shooting, the Vo finally went down. The Mata was able to shoot and take it down. The Shatang, though, did shoot at the Coronac. Got some good shots off, but thanks to the Coronac having the evade token, and actually because of a battle station token from Picard, was able to avoid 2. A total of 2 of the hits, and then the remaining 3 were absorbed by the Kraxen's shield. So Kraxen's back down to 1 shield, but that was definitely worth it to keep that ship alive. The 2 Cardassian ships did fire at the OWP to take it out, just to keep it from shooting, and that's where we're at. So we'll see if Cardassians are able to turn and take a shot this round or not. So at the end of that round, we see the Coronac finally goes down. The Shatang had to shoot and bleed off the shields from the Kraxen, and then when the Mata fired, it just finally did clean up. Had a total of 3 evade dice though, but just was not enough to keep everything at bay. So at this point, the game is basically over. A little bit of cleanup would need to take place, but yeah, that's really all we can do. The big takeaways is that the OWPs were not a factor, simply because the Cardassian ships were able to shoot them down so easily as they kind of moved through, and that's really what they had to do, considering they don't have as many evade dice as the Klingons. Whereas I was able to completely just ignore the OWPs with as many evade dice that I had. So that's definitely a big takeaway, and also the turning radius on the Cardassian ships is just so abysmal. and also the lack of green maneuvers, because I was able to make a good, hard turn 3, but then in order to, just to kind of try and stay out of firing arcs early on, but then trying to pull that back around so they could get into position to actually fire, man, there was just no way. Without having a green maneuver to basically get rid of the auxiliary token so that I could then perform another hard bank turn so that I could shoot. Just didn't quite work out, but pretty good game. I definitely am glad that in this case that I chose to go with the Tetrion emissions over the cloaked mines on the Mata. The Tetrion emissions, I think, would have, or actually they did prove early on to be quite useful, just to force the shots over onto the Shatang, because that's just a lot of extra evade dice on the Mata when it's boosted by the flagship. So that's pretty much it. Very good game, and thanks for watching.